It's a short video just to explain the structure of the foundation movement workout. So as with all good exercise sessions, the session starts with a warm-up, which is important to do a 5-minute dynamic warm-up, and the aims being to raise body temperature, heart rate and breathing rate, to activate muscles and to mobilize joints. So RAM is the acronym to remember, and it's about performing dynamic whole body movements that raise, activate and mobilize. There's no need to be doing any static stretching in a warm-up. It's about keeping it active and keeping it dynamic. Then once the warm-up is over, the main session then involves 3 circuits of 12 exercises each, spending up to 1 minute on each exercise and with a 2-minute rest between each circuit. So as you can see, it's the 5-minute warm-up. Then it will take 12 minutes to do the first circuit, where you spend 1 minute on each movement. Then there's a 2-minute rest, 12 minutes to do a second circuit, 2-minute rest, 12 minutes to do a third circuit, and then a 5-minute cool down. And the whole thing will take about 50 minutes in total. So this is the structure of one circuit. There are 12 movements based mainly around the foundation movements as discussed in the previous videos, and you will start on any number and you'll spend on the minute, everyone moves to the next numbered movement. So if you were to start on number 10, for example, squat, you would do a minute on squat, then you'd go on to a minute on number 11, a minute on number 12, minute on number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. And you'd keep moving until at the end of the 12th minute you'd have finished number 9. You'd then have your 2-minute recovery, and then on the next round you'd start again at number 10. But what you do in that minute is up to you. It's not necessary to exercise for the whole minute. So you might have selected an exercise that's challenging and that you can only do 6 repetitions of, with good form, obviously. If that's the case, you might have completed your 6 reps in 25 seconds. You then have 35 seconds to recover, make your way to the next movement, ready to start that one at the start of the next minute. Alternately, you might be focusing on developing endurance, and you might pick an activity that you can do for a whole minute, in which case you'd exercise until the minute's up, then you'd move quickly to the next movement with no recovery. So you will receive a card similar to this, either a screenshot on a phone or a tablet or an actual hard copy of the card. And as you can see, for each of the 12 movements, there are 3 options, level 1, level 2 and level 3. So you select what is right for you at the time and for your particular goals. You select the movement for you and you do as many repetitions or as much time as you want to for that movement. So I want to stress it's not necessarily better to be working for the whole movement. It all depends on your goals. If you're trying to develop strength, for example, you ideally want to select an exercise you can only do 4 to 6 times. So let's say, for example, you might choose pull-ups. Well, very few people can do pull-ups for a minute. You might do 4, 6, 8, something like that. But if strength is your goal, working for 20 seconds and getting 40 seconds recovery would be the best strategy, because if you're going to work hard, you need more recovery. So everyone's got their own goals and abilities, so don't for a moment think you're slacking if you're not continuously working. As I stressed in earlier videos, moving with good form in a controlled manner is the most important factor here. Now, it may seem a little confusing looking at all of this, but in practice it does become easier, because, for example, if you start on number 9 brace, then somebody else will probably start on number 10 squat. So you will always be following them. So as long as you pay attention to what that person's on and where they're moving to, then you know what you've got to go to. So in reality, it does become a little easier. And it is a good idea, particularly when you're new to this, to use the first circuit as a familiarization circuit. So with the first circuit, you're not necessarily working fully. Your aim is to make sure you know what you're doing, run through a few repetitions, ensure you have correct form, and use this as an extended warm-up. You'll then have 2 full working circuits, which is more than enough to get the benefit from the session. So this might be a bit confusing looking at all these exercises. So there's resources on YouTube. If you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see firstly there's a basic movement technique instructions. This has got a short video explaining the main coaching points for each of the foundation movements. So there's a video for squat, a video for lunge, etc. And it just talks through the main points that apply to all versions of that movement. Then there's a separate playlist for each of the 12 movements in the circuit, which contains the exercises on the program, plus many more. More to come on this in future videos. But if you get a chance to familiarize yourself with the movements prior to attending, then you can make sure you know how to do them properly. So if, for example, you click on rotate movements, there's 10 different versions of rotate movements on there, including the 3 that are on the card. You can just see a few examples to get your head around what they are. And you can even use this during that familiarization first circuit. If you've got your phone with you, you get to the station, you're not sure what it is, you can quickly look up the video. So just as a recap, there's our structure. You come in, you do a warm-up, then the first circuit, you just make sure you get your head around what you're doing, how to do it, etc., and continue the warm-up. And then there'll be 2 working circuits with a 2-minute rest in between, where you do your required amount of time or repetitions on each movement and move on every minute, and then a 5-minute cool down at the end, and then that should take around about 50 minutes.